volume because otherwise I'll hear myself and that's annoying. Hi, hi, hi. Oh, now I'm on the wrong count. Okay, it's not good to have 8 trillion different accounts because then you have to switch accounts. There. So, hi, guys. I can't see comments yet, so give me a minute. I'm coming. I am. Dun, 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 dun. I hear the bells. Hi, Lori. How are you? Hi, Sonia. Long time no see. How are you? Okay. Hi, guys. So hello. I'm sorry I was not on last week. We ended up going later than we thought with what we were doing, and so I had to not come on. Hi, Christiana. Hi, Fatima. Hi. How is everyone? Good? Good. Happy Tuesday. How's everyone's week? Did y'all get through the holidays? The holidays are like over now. The Yule season is over, which doesn't happen till like the week after Yule. Now we're just into winter. Like crappy, cold, snow winter. How is everyone? I'm good. I am, I don't know, busy all the time, but I'm doing good. What, Bubba? What? There's nobody out there. Relax. Nobody's out there for you. No. Everything's good. So it's a snowstorm there. Yeah, we just got over. We got like, I don't know, 1.5 feet, I think, at the end of everything.
I got 2 feet.
Yeah, I think Buffalo actually got a little more than us here on the lakefront too. But yeah, we got quite a bit. I was saying it's kind of, I do have to say, it's kind of nice to work from home and be like, yeah, I don't think we're going to go out today. It's nice. Hi, Garnet. Trying to manifest a better home for me and my pups. Need to do it. Yes, this is a class. Tarot Tuesday is a class. Tarot Tuesday is always a class. Tarot Tuesday will remain a class. Go Bills. That's right. Go Bills. Yay. Buffalo has moved on in the playoffs. Yay. We're playing the Chiefs, which we're going to beat them this year just because it's going to happen. Yes. So today's class is about the ethics of tarot. I felt like we have finished every card, which is freaking amazing. 78 cards. We've gone through every single card. So yay. And I felt like before we got into like how to read and how to connect and all that kind of stuff, I wanted to get into some of the ethics of tarot reading. And some people will tell you there is no ethics in tarot reading, which is really sad to me. There are tarot readers out there who have no ethics. But you should demand as a querent, as a person who asks for tarot readings, and as a tarot reader, you should demand ethics on both sides. And so there are some ethics that I think definitely you need to have as a tarot reader. And there are some ethics that you need to at least know about and be aware of as a querent, as someone coming to a reader for answers to questions. There is some things on both sides. It's not sleeveless. It's just open shoulders. That's all. And I'm still I'm still going through hot flashes. Although I will tell you, I have been cold today, but which is weird because it's not that cold. But hi, Jess. So I think this is an important topic. I wanted to make sure that I touched on it before we got into like how to do a reading and how to connect. Next week's class, I would like to do a class on how to.
He wanted the rooster feet. That's why.
Who wanted the rooster feet? Oh, you can't have the rooster feet.
That's why he was white.
Oh, that makes so much sense. You're smelling the puppy is smelling the rooster feet. If Cluck comes on, Cluck gave me a couple rooster feet and rooster feathers, so puppy is smelling rooster feet. No one, he's been doing that for like 2 days, and I'm like, what is your problem? Holy crap!
It's the same signature.
Wow. Oh, see, we have to show that. So if anyone DMs you offering a reading, do not engage. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. There's no reason for people to reach out like that. Ben says, hi, Mama and Joe.
Hey. Oh, yeah. I'm on. Yeah.
Yes, you're on. You are.
Back up a little.
Yes, absolutely. There some ethics. Let's start right off with, before I go into what I have written down and what I'm teaching. Start right off with there should be no one contacting you for a reading, like to say I want to read for you, unless it's a personal friend. I can see if I don't know, said to Ben or Pookie or something, hey, I really think I need to do a reading for you. That's different, but I'm not charging them for that reading. I'm just saying, hey, I think you might need a reading. That's different. But there should be no one contacting you saying, I would like to do a reading for you. My readings cost blah, 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 blah. My dog chewed up my goose feet dice bag years ago. Aw. Yes, I got rooster feet from Cluck this week. No wonder he's been going crazy. Thank you, Joe. It's been like a week and he's going crazy. So let me start right off. It is good to barter, absolutely. I'm going to start off by telling you that there are a couple different associations and like international organizations that if you are a tarot reader, you may want to look into becoming a part of these organizations. And that is because they have a reputation for demanding excellence from the people who apply to their association. They have a reputation for saying, yes, these people actually are serious about reading, that they follow the ethics that they expunge. And the one that I'm going to specifically talk about today is the American Tarot Association. If you're not in America, obviously. There's another one. What is it called? Hold on, I've got it in here someplace. The other one is like the International. Did you get that? I might have to put it on there later. The American Tarot Association, though, is a good organization. They specifically have a code of ethics, and they tell you that you should have a code of ethics listed someplace. And I was just saying to Joe that I realized in getting this together that I don't have my code of ethics listed in our business page. And I'm like, oh, I used to have it listed in my Etsy page, which I'm opening back up again. Finally, I started working on it today. But then I haven't done anything with my Etsy page for a couple of years. And so it hasn't been listed anywhere. So I am, refreshing my own code of ethics, and I will be putting it up in the business page in Mama Squirrel's living room page so that everyone can see it. Hi, Mick. But it's a good idea if you're going to be a reader, a professional reader, for like if you're going to get paid for doing readings, it's a good idea for you to have a code of ethics up someplace so that people who come to you for readings can see that you have a code of ethics and can see what they are. So that if they don't agree with that, then they can go elsewhere, because that's certainly okay. Hi, Kim. So let me start by going over this. The first thing really is you should have a code of ethics. I really like the American Tarot Association. You can look up their website, and they have, I printed it out, they have a code of ethics that they say everyone who is a part of the American Tarot Association should follow these codes of ethics, these specific 8 codes. And so we're going to start by going over them and talking about what that means for us as readers and what that means for you as a querent. If you're not ever going to read professionally, but you're going to go to professional readers, what does that mean for you too? So number 1 says, I will serve the best interests of my clients, conducting my professional activities without causing or intending to cause harm. That's number 1. That seems pretty simple and straightforward. But when you think about what that means, it's not always so simple and straightforward. Again, Joe one time was over and was showing me TikTok tarot readers who were live. Oh my God. They're so unethical. It's ridiculous.
I break up with my boyfriend.
Yeah.
He's cheated on you.
Yes.
He's cheated on you for years.
Yes. How do you? Stop it.
With your dowsing rod.
It's annoying. It's horrible. Without causing or intending to cause harm, and I think the intention part is a huge, huge part of that. As a tarot reader, my intention should be for your better good. Always. 100% of the time, it should be for your better good. I hate watching them. I do too. I don't watch them on the regular for sure, although it's kind of entertaining, and it is enlightening to see how many people are out there for money. Why are they unethical? Well, Sonia, I will tell you, let's talk a little bit about what we saw and why I would say they were unethical. So the ones that are charging money are out there. Hi, Estelle. They're out there saying, here, give me $5 for a reading. Give me $10 for a reading. However, they're up to quite a lot of money. And
some people are there for $10 dowsing rod readings.
Oh, God, that's so ridiculous. I can't believe people are paying for that. It's sad to me because that tells me that people are desperate. People are desperate out there, and they want answers, and they want someone to tell them what to do, I think, partly. But I can't believe, first of all, how many different readers there are out there that will say, to me, yes, exactly what the person wants to hear. Yes. Like, okay, I think you're going to be pregnant within a year, or I think you're going to get married within the year, or
the people that paid for the reading would get the good readings, and the people that didn't pay for them would get the shitty readings.
So I don't know if you can hear Joe because he mumbles. But the people who would pay for the reading would suddenly get a really good reading, and the people who didn't pay for them would get a bad reading, like, no, your boyfriend's cheating on you, and you should, break up with them, whatever. And that's a very clear thing. If you're seeing that different readings are coming across for paid reader, like you paid money, so I'm going to give you a good reading, and you did not pay money, so your reading is going to be, your life is falling apart and your life is going to shit. Hi, Witchy Woo. How are you, Adrian? That's a clear indication that this person does not have a whole lot of ethics. This person. Always, number 1 on the American Tarot Association, their code of ethics says, I will serve the best interest of my clients, conducting my professional activities without causing or intending to cause harm. That should be number 1 for everyone. The intention should never be to cause harm, right? Number 2, I will treat all my clients with equal respect, regardless of their origin, race, religion, gender, age, or sexual preference. And that, again, should be something simple. But unfortunately, hi, Sonia. Across the board, I have seen that happen with gender. I've seen a lot of people read differently for male clients than they do for female clients. I'm sure there's sexual preference stuff out there. I have not seen it, partly because I don't watch some of that shit, but I'm sure it's out there.
There are some gay readers that target straight people as well.
Really? There's gay readers that target straight people. That's terrible. See, and I'm sure it's the other way too. Number 3, I will represent honestly my tarot qualifications, including educational credentials, levels of certification, and experience. So if someone is out there telling you that they are a very experienced professional reader, and in the middle of your reading, they pull the book out to say, oh, King of Cups. I forgot what that is. Hold on. That's that means that that's an issue. And I'm not saying that it's an issue at all if someone pulls the book out. If someone feels like they need, hi Leanne, if they feel like they need the book, that's one thing. But in my opinion, and this is my opinion, they probably should not be doing readings for money if they are so unexperienced that they still feel they need the book. Now, on the same level, you have to look at the people who are starting out. How do you get enough experience to get to the point where you think you're a professional reader? You give free readings all over the place. So at the same time, if a free reader says, I'm going to practice some readings. So if somebody wants to come on and get a free reading, I'm going to do free readings, and they pull the book out, that's one thing. That would not bother me at all, because everyone needs to get to the point where they feel like they know the cards well enough. And one of the best ways to do that is do readings for everybody you know. The more readings you do, the better acquainted you are with your cards. So that's not an issue for me. I do think if you are asking people for money and you're pulling the book out because you don't know what something means, or at least even if you can be an intuitive reader and not necessarily go by every single thing the book says and blank and say, I don't know what this means at all, and have to pull the book, that would be an issue for me. But you have to decide as the querent, as someone who's asking for the reading too, if that's okay with you or not. So think of that ahead of time. Been reading for free and labeling as practice. Perfect. And thanking people for being my lab specimens. And exactly, Emma, that is perfect. And Emma, I think I've seen you do that in some of the tarot reading things on Facebook and stuff. That is perfect. That's such a good idea, because you need to have that practice. Otherwise, how do you know if you've done a good job or not? And you want that people to say, oh, that was so right on, or gee, that didn't resonate with me. And then a week later, maybe come back and say, oh, you know what? I got it. This happened. And then I was like, oh, that totally meant that. That's good. Absolutely. Would pay for just the entertainment. And that's okay, Sonia. If you know, as the querent, as the person who's paying for that reading, if you know, hi, Catherine, if you know that you're paying for entertainment only, and you don't expect that your tarot reader knows the cards well enough to not use the book, then that's fine. That's okay too. But that's a part of this number 3. I will represent honestly my tarot qualifications. If somebody's telling you I'm a professional tarot reader who has been doing tarot readings for 10 years and then pulls the book out, I have a problem with that.
And there are ones that do that, but they're just learning the deck that they're currently using, and they still don't charge for the readings.
Yes, exactly. Yes. If somebody says I've done tarot readings for a long time, this is a new deck though, and I want to try it out, so I'm not going to charge for a while until I work my way around this deck, awesome. As long as they are presenting that honestly and openly, right? It would be okay. Okay, so number 4 here on our American Tarot Association Code of Ethics. Number 4 says, I will keep confidential the names of clients and all information shared or discussed during readings, unless otherwise requested by the client or required by court of law. And that should be something in a whole lot of metaphysical things that you're going to have. If you have somebody do a spell for you, if you have somebody do healing for you, Reiki or otherwise, there should be a code of conduct there that talks about confidentiality. You do not want your tarot reader or your healer or the person helping you out with an intention spell or anything like that to be blabbing what you're asking for all over the place. That's not acceptable at all. If they weren't asking for much, said they were new and pull. Yeah, exactly. Yep. If they were like, okay, if you give me $2 and I'm going to do a quick reading for you. And you know, I'm kind of starting to get my way around and I'm not new, but I'm learning still a little bit. That wouldn't bother me either. As long as they honestly said, this is where I'm at.
Or if they do the thing where they tip afterwards.
Yes. Or if you liked your reading and you can tip. Yeah, absolutely. That would be fine. Confidentiality. That's a must. I tell people all the time that I absolutely keep people's readings confidential. Now, I will say sometimes, because I read for a whole lot of people and I teach tarot, I will say sometimes I had a client who said blah, 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 and asked me about a boyfriend that they had, but I would never make it so that people can figure out who that client is or name them or say enough information so that people can figure it out. I would never do that. It just wouldn't happen. But I will, because I teach tarot, I will use readings as examples, but I keep that confidentiality anyways. I never would say their name. I never would say, enough information so that people can figure out who it was. And that's, again, a part of the Code of Ethics. Number 5, I will recommend clients consult a licensed professional for advice of a legal, financial, medical, or psychological nature that I am not qualified to provide. If trained in one of these areas, I will clearly differentiate between the tarot reading and any professional advice additionally provided. So what does that mean? That means that if someone comes to me and says, I need a tarot reading because I feel like I'm going to kill myself, and if I don't get a good tarot reading, that's it. I'm offing myself tomorrow. I am not qualified to deal with that issue. So for me, I wouldn't even accept that reading. I would say, I'm sorry, here's your money back. Here's the name of a suicide hotline. Here's the name of some local counselors. Here's the name of a psychiatrist I know is taking patients. Here, I would try to present them with a list of people who could help them with their issue, but I personally would not be reading for someone like that. I would not, first of all, I wouldn't feel right taking money from somebody like that. That, to me, that's just not appropriate. And second of all, I am not qualified to do that. I have been in the medical field long enough that sometimes if people ask me about a specific medical issue, I can kind of give some examples of what could happen based on what a tarot card is saying. And then there has been times where I've said to somebody, oh, you know what? As an x-ray tech, I could tell you that my experience showed me that you should be okay. Like, I've had people come to me and say, I had to have a second mammogram because I found a lump, and they called me back in and said they need a second mammogram or they need an ultrasound or something. If I differentiate between, okay, I pulled a tarot card for you, which I wouldn't pull a tarot card for something like that. I just wouldn't. For me, ethically, that's one of my lines. I will not pull a tarot card for you to say my test is going to come back negative, yes or no. I'm not doing that. That's it. That's an ethical line for me. However, I would say, you know, as a mammo tech for years and years, try not to worry about it until you know you have to. Because 90% of the time, that callback doesn't mean that there's an issue. It means there's something that the doctor saw that they want to look into more to make sure that nothing's wrong. That doesn't mean there's nothing wrong. It doesn't mean there's something either, though. So there's a line there. Yes, it is absolutely perfect example, Lori. It's absolutely helpful to keep a list of local resources. Definitely. Medical, legal, financial, that kind of thing. Absolutely. Have a list next to you. If you're going to be a professional reader and you expect that you're going to have people come to you for those kinds of questions, and you have to decide ahead of time, part of your tarot ethics means you have to decide ahead of time what kind of questions you are going to say, I'm not reading for that kind of question, and what kind of questions are okay for you. And everyone is a little bit different. I know people who will not ever do love readings, that they say, no, I don't want to do relationship readings. To me, that is an ethical situation. And that's okay. But know ahead of time what questions you will not accept as tarot readings. Know that ahead of time. Okay, number 6 says, I will discuss and agree all fees, if any, with my clients in advance. Should a client wish to proceed beyond the originally agreed arrangement, all additional fees, if any, will be discussed and agreed upon by both parties before proceeding. And that comes in, there was a big ethical situation, I don't know, maybe 5 years ago or something, where people would go on for a simple, like, one question tarot reading. And they would say, okay, one question, $10, let's say. And then they would continue to pull cards, and they would say, oh, well, this was more than just a one question reading. This turned into a $50 reading because I kept pulling cards for you. That's not acceptable. Unless you say, look, there's more, I feel like there's more information that can be had here. If you want, I can keep going. I would be willing to do, I don't know, a 10-minute reading for another $5 or however they decide, as long as that's, you know, known ahead of time. Ethically, tarot readers should not keep going and then charge you more later. If they do that, that's not okay. That's sneaky. That's unethical. That's not okay. Look into national context also if you're working with people outside of your area and other countries. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, absolutely. For sure. You're right. Other countries.
People charging for consultations?
For consultations, tarot consultations?
Spell consultations.
Oh. It depends on the person. I'm okay with, as long as you're upfront about what you're doing. I don't think, I feel funny about it. Like, I don't know. I guess it depends on if I do any kind of spell consultation work, I usually say ahead of time, I think I've done 3 maybe in my entire career, by the way. But I usually say, I'm going to provide everything you need for that spell. I'm not going to like say, oh, here, I'll sell you this for that. And I think that's part of the problem is you get into, oh, I can do a really good spell. If you give me another $50, I'll do this really cool thing that I have. And I don't like that. But if I say, okay, I'm going to $20 will get you, like if you want to do a spell consultation about this kind of spell, I will say, okay, for $20 I'll do that, and I'll include everything you need for that, and we'll go walk through it with you, and I'll make sure that you feel comfortable doing it.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people do spell consultations where like they charge for the consultation, and then like the spell itself is like $50-$60.
Yeah. I don't agree with that either, at all. Because then you're like, oh, well, I could do this really cool thing, but you didn't give me enough, so I hate that shit. Yeah. We can't hear the ghost behind the couch, Ben says.
She's talking to Mr. What's his name?
Mr. Griffin.
Yeah, Mr. Griffin.
Yeah. How does one become a professional? Oh, that's a good question, Sonia. So, unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't know. It depends on your point of view, I guess. tarot is not a profession that is has a bunch of regulations. It's not a regulated profession. So you're a professional tarot reader when you charge for readings. That's it. That makes you a professional. So be careful when you are being charged for readings. You want to know what they think makes them a professional. If someone came to me and said, okay, why should I pay you for a reading? I have all kinds of things that I've done that I can say, okay, I've been studying the tarot for over 10 years. I've been doing professional paid readings for over, I think, over 5 years at least. Time jumps away with me, but over 5 years. And I have read enough. I have enough people that I could say, hey, can somebody who I've done a reading for give me a review and tell somebody that, you know, you liked my readings or you thought I was okay with it or whatever, that that I would then feel comfortable with that. You have to look into your professional readers, though. There are people out there who will say they are professional after reading for 6 months, and you have to find out what they say their credentials are. What are their credentials? I would, before I paid someone for a reading, I would know a little bit about them, enough so that I felt comfortable paying for that. Like, okay, how many readings have you done? I would never be able to tell you how many readings I've done at this point. I don't know. Hundreds, thousands? I don't know. A lot. How long have you been reading? You know, do you have certifications? There are certifications that you can get. Now, I can say I don't have any certifications. I've never gone through a tarot certification thing. I could. I've thought about it several times. I am a member of the American Tarot Association. I can tell you that. I do have a code of ethics that I can show you. I do have reviews and stuff that I can show you. So I have people that can tell you that they have come to me for readings and thought I did well and enjoyed my readings and felt like I knew what I was saying. But know that ahead of time. Yes. And as Lori says, your city might have laws about giving readings. I believe in New York, one of the things is, and so you'll see disclaimers on the bottom all the time. Like if I do readings on Etsy and stuff, I always have disclaimers on the bottom. This is only for entertainment purposes, because we have to say that.
And you better be calling it a donation or else you're paying taxes on it.
Right. Yeah. And you have to call it a donation or else you're paying taxes on it. Yes. So there's several things to consider for sure. Number 7, I will respect my client's right to refuse or terminate their reading at any time, regardless of prior consent. So in other words, if we're halfway through the reading and my client says, okay, you know what, I'm not comfortable with this reading anymore. This is bringing up too much, whatever. I don't feel right. I want to be done now. I respect that. Absolutely. As a matter of fact, if anybody does that to me, I always give them their money back. I've had that happen a couple times where things have gotten a little too deep for them. And they're like, whew, okay, wait, I don't think I want to know this anymore. And I return your money. Here you go. It's okay. And I totally get that. Sometimes that happens. Or for any other reason. I've never had it happen, but I've had skeptics come to me and say, all right, I really don't believe in this stuff, but I want to see what you got. That doesn't bother me. It's okay. But if halfway through they said, okay, I think you're full of shit, I would give them their money back. I don't have any problem with that. Here you go. I don't want anybody to leave my readings feeling like I did them wrong in any ways. So me personally, I would never keep somebody's money like that at all. Ever. That's just not me. And then number 8, the last on the Code of Ethics for the American Tarot Association is, I recognize that all American Tarot Association members have the same rights and obligations, and I will always respect and honor my co-members. And so that means that all tarot readers who are a part of this association feel the same way about those 8 rules. Now, my personal stuff. There are some things that we need to discuss. I don't do pay because I don't feel I'm ready for that, but I'm running out of coworkers to practice on. They say no because it's creeping them out. Right, Estelle? I can't tell you how many times I used to read for coworkers and not, hi Pookie, and not charge coworkers because I thought it was, it was good practice and I don't know, for friends and stuff, I don't usually charge for friends and stuff unless it's, I don't know, some weird situation. I'm trying to think when I've charged coworkers. I mean, friends and stuff. I don't know. But anyways, I've had a ton of coworkers say, oh my gosh, Jen, like I used to come into the office when I was doing memos and they would be like, oh, Jen, as soon as I walked through the door, Jen, if we have time today, can you do a reading? Yes. Okay. I'll do it. It's okay. Part of my ethics, I will not read for a third person. Yes. I love that. I have that one too. So what does that mean? Let's talk about that one. Where's that one? Hold on. Yes. Because I have the same one. I hate that. And it's annoying to me when someone else does that. Yes. Yes. Where is it? I will. Confidentiality, honesty, expertise, responsibility, empowerment, healing, uplifting, independence.
Jen, are you keeping this for ritual or do you want me to price it?
Price it. I don't know. Somewhere in here I have that also. Which is I will not read for a third person. If you come to me and start talking about can you do a reading for my boyfriend is having a situation at work and blah 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 blah. Nope. It's not you. For me, and we'll talk about this next week. We're going to talk about how to connect to the person you're reading for. And there's several different ways. And I'll tell you how I do it. And I'll tell you what I've heard from other people, how they do it. But for me, when I connect to them specifically and their spirit guides. So if I'm connecting to their spirit guides, I'm not going to do a reading for their mother, their brother, their boyfriend, their whoever, their significant other. I'm not reading for them. I'm reading for the person that's sitting in front of me or the person online who is saying to me, I want this reading. I'm not reading for their brother, mother, sister, cousin, anybody else. So I know that's one of the things on TikTok that I was like, how can you do that? This woman kept saying, I'm trying to remember how she was saying it. She's like, your boyfriend is cheating on you. One. Yes. Your boyfriend is cheating on you. And I'm like, how do you know that? I kept saying to Joe, how does she know that? To me, when I'm reading for someone, that doesn't work like that. I can't say to you, your boyfriend is cheating on you because I'm not connected to your boyfriend. I'm connected to you. I can say to you, you obviously have some issues with your significant other that you need to work on. You have trust issues with him. You don't feel like you can trust him. You've had issues in the past where you can't talk to him about stuff. I can say that kind of stuff to him or to them, but I cannot say your boyfriend is doing such and such and such and such because I'm not connected to your boyfriend. I'm connected to you. Just like I hate when people are like, well, my mother has a health issue. Can you tell me if my mother's health issue is going to work out okay? Thank you, Pookie. For me, it's very difficult for me to do that because I'm not connected to your mother. I can tell you, I can connect to your guides and your guides can tell me, oh, we have a lot of things going on health-wise. for that we're dealing with your mother. So I can say, oh, we have a lot of things going on with your mother's health that you're going to be involved with. It's going to be a tough road for you. You got to take her to a lot of appointments. You have a lot, but I can't tell you if your mother's health stuff is okay or not. And that's a personal thing. Again, it's okay if as a tarot reader, when you connect, you decide you can read that. But you have to decide that ahead of time. Do not get to that point and then suddenly decide now that you have to decide whether or not you can do that. Know that ahead of time. I was pulling self-care cards and pulled spend time with pets for someone. Their dog died that week. She doesn't ask me to pull cards now. Well, you know, that means something. That means that you were connected to the fact that she was very lost without her pet, right? What about reading on someone who is passed? So it depends on, Christiane, about what you mean reading on someone. Like doing questions for someone who has passed? I guess it would depend on the situation. I would need to hear what the situation was. Kellyanne Maddox has a good video about getting querents to reframe their questions so they aren't third party and are more empowering. Perfect. Yes. And that's, for me, again, that's what I'm trying to do when I'm giving someone a reading is I'm there to care for you, for the person asking the question. I want to make sure that my answers are going around what this querent can do to better her life. That includes her relationships with other people, relationships with family, relationships with loved ones, relationships with significant others. But it's always about what they can do. I'm not going to tell you your boyfriend needs to buck up because he's a jerk and he's been, I don't know, doing drugs behind your back. And so you need to get your ass out of there. No, I'm going to tell you though, you've had a rough road and there's been a lot of emotional things happening with your relationship and you're having trust issues. So you need to decide, is this something that you can live with? Is this something that you can tolerate? Or is this something that you are avoiding, that you have trust issues and it's not going to change? So you need to decide, am I okay with this? Can I live with this? Can I move forward with this? Or can I not? That's okay. I don't mind at all. I love Kellyanne Maddox. I love her. I feel like you heard my question about my mom. Michelle, however that was, I can't remember. All right. I'm going to tell you something about me personally that I try to, when I explain how I connect, I don't remember your questions or my answers to your questions very often, like 2 minutes after I'm done with you. Because the way I connect, and again, this is not, we're going to talk next week about how to connect, but the way I connect is I connect to your Namaton, your place where your spirit guides reside, and I ask them for help with your reading. So when I am quote unquote reading the cards, to me, I always feel like I don't do that much. I just look at what the cards are telling me and reach out to your spirit guides to say, okay, what do you want them to know about these cards? So when I disconnect, I very often forget everything I've said. And so it means that if you ask me next week, I might not remember anything I said to you at all. I might remember little bits and pieces, but a lot of times I totally lose everything that I've said because it's not, to me, it's not really me reading the cards. It's just me connecting to your guides who tell me what they want you to know. I can only think personally if someone in my family had questions for or about my Nana passed on in 1997. Can't think of a different scenario, but thought it was worth asking. I can only think if somebody in my family had questions for your Nana. So again, if you feel like you can connect to that person, I think that would be different. Like I can see, I guess, if this is what you're asking, I can see if my mother came to me, not that she ever would. I can't imagine my mother ever coming. I've never read for my mother, but if my mother, maybe my Aunt Nancy would. If my Aunt Nancy came to me and said, can you try to connect to her mother, my grandma, and ask her, you know, if she's okay, or ask her, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a question that she would ask me about her. If she's happy with the way things are in my life. I might be able to do that because I have a connection with my grandmother who has passed on. But I don't know unless that person was in your Nematon, because I connect to your Nematon. Now, again, if you've never heard the way that I connect, Nematon is the place where your spirit guides reside. That's a very short answer. But if that person is in your Nematon, I might be able to connect to them, but I could never guarantee that. So I don't know if I would ask, or if I would say for sure that I could answer specific questions about them unless they were in your Nematon. I have had before an ancestor pop up in your Nematon and say something to the client. So I've had like grandparents or even ancestors that you didn't know, great-great-grandparents, come in and say, you know, can you let them know that I'm watching out for them specifically in this kind of situation? But I wouldn't be able to specifically answer that question until I connected. So I don't, it's hard to say, right? Okay. Be honest and tell the truth with compassion. That's one of mine, is tell the truth with compassion. You have to, not that, all right. And here's another thing to think about. In your code of ethics, you need to say, if you're going to be one of those readers that tells it like it is, you know, that says very bluntly, no, you're not going to get that job. No, you're going to get fired. The problem with that is that I believe it takes away a person's will and the flow of energy. So when we talk about the flow of energy, if people ask me about, like, what if you do a reading for me about an upcoming job interview? Does that mean, and you say you don't see me doing that job, does that mean I'm not going to get it? And that, unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. I describe it as looking at a river, okay? And you're looking at the river flow back and forth, left and right. And when I do a reading, I am looking at the banks of the river as we come upon the banks, knowing that that's going to turn the flow of water this way, that's going to turn the flow of water this way. That doesn't mean that if I give you your reading, you can't take a shovel and dig a trench all the way through and now the water goes straight through. You still can change that. I'm just going to let you know what the course of the energy we're looking at looks like it's doing. And that sounds kind of like a cop-out. I know it sounds like a, oh, well, see, I said that it didn't necessarily, and I don't know what to tell you other than I will never say, you will never hear me say, nope, you're not going to get that job. Those people who ask yes or no questions, I hate that because, first of all, tarot never answers them like that for me. They always are like, yeah, that could happen. And secondly, I believe that you have choice of will, and so that you can change those outcomes some. This is just looking at the course of the energy as it is today. Does that answer that? Hold on. If the person is an ancestor, you can access the underworld and the ancestors through the Nematon. Yeah, that's true. That's mediumship. Exactly. No determined future. Yes, because everyone has free will. Exactly. So another ethics in my code of ethics is that I do not judge anyone or their questions when they come to me. And that can be more difficult than you think. That is why I talk about a lot how it's harder to read for someone you know. Because when you know someone and you know the situation that they're in, you are automatically almost going to put your own judgments on the question that they bring to you. So if they bring you a question like, you know what, my boyfriend's been a jerk and I really feel like maybe I should go a different direction. Do you think I should leave my boyfriend? And I hate your boyfriend. And I think he's a big piece of shit. It is really, really difficult sometimes to leave my judgments at the door and not read that in whatever card comes up. So it's that is a situation that it's a really hard thing. I would much rather, a million times over, much rather read for someone that I don't know anything about your situation that you're asking about, because it's a lot easier for me to just tap into those energies that I'm looking at and not subconsciously put my shit into that reading. It's really hard. Ethically, I will always try to do that, but it is harder when you know the situation. So that's partly why I don't usually charge anything for readings for people that I know, is because I don't know if I can guarantee all the time that my judgments are not coming in with me. So I can't remember a time that I actually charged someone other than like when we do our $5 reading nights and stuff. But I think that's kind of different. That's just like a donation thing. Just got done scooping up some graveyard snow. Yay! Hi, Court. Do most readers talk about how the card is providing the answer or just answer the question? Or is it just personal choice? It is personal choice. Some people will talk about how they read and the fact that, look, the card is telling you this, this, and this. And some people will just answer the question and not let them know. Let the queer know how they're answering that question. For me, I have always, when I learned tarot, it's funny, nobody taught me how to connect. I will say that. I don't know anybody else who connects exactly the way I do. Although I would love to be able to teach it and have somebody be able to do that. I think that would be really good because I feel like it's a good way to connect. But so far, I don't think I've taught anyone to do it exactly the way I have. But one of the things that I learned as a tarot reader, though, was I did not want as a tarot reader, I did not want to be responsible for every card that was pulled. So one of the things that the way I connect makes it so that I'm not responsible. In my mind, in my heart, I know I'm not responsible for what those cards have pulled, what cards have been pulled, and I'm only responsible for interpreting what those cards mean, right? So if I connect to your Navaton, to your spirit guides, and I say, okay, spirit guides, help me out here. What do you want them to know? And then I'm pulling those cards and the death card shows up for you. And I'm like, okay, there's a big transition coming. To me, I'm not responsible for the fact that death card showed up. I asked your spirit guides for help. Your spirit guides pulled out that death card for you. And so whether or not you think that card is for you or makes sense, I have taken the responsibility off of myself. I don't feel like I'm responsible for that because I asked your spirit guides for help. And I know how to connect to your spirit guides. That's the one thing I think maybe goes along with this is that you have to be confident in the fact that you, A, know how to read your own cards. And B, however you connect, you have to be confident that you are able to connect to another person's energy. Because otherwise, you are then taking responsibility for the cards that show up. And you don't want to do that. There should not be any scenario that you say, well, I asked for this card to show up. No scenario should you be asking for any card to show up for a querent. So, however you need to take that responsibility from yourself, you need to know that you can connect to their energy in such a way that those cards are reading their energy. Okay? So, we'll talk next week about that connection, about how to do that, about how I do it, and about how I've heard other people do it. And I've seen other people do it. And then that has to be enough for you to know you're not the one that's pulling these cards. Otherwise, it's your energy in those cards. You need to trust your ability to connect to others' energies. And I think that has to be a huge part of your ethics, is that you know, you have to feel comfortable in saying, yes, I can connect to someone else's energy. And I trust that I can connect to someone else's energy. Otherwise, you're going to take responsibility for those cards. And you don't ever want to do that. It's too much responsibility. I so agree. I refuse to read for family members. Yes, it's too hard. It's just too hard. We have our code of ethics posted, and our members use it as a blueprint to craft their own. Perfect. They have to at least adopt ours as a part of membership in the Tarot Guild. Perfect. Yes, and absolutely. And for me, like I said, where is it? For me, the least should be, I love the American Tarot Association has a good one. You can print theirs out. That's a good base to start out with anyways. You definitely want to think ahead of time, though, of situations and how you're going to deal with those situations ahead of time. I'm not going to tell you ethically how you have to deal with them, but you have to imagine ahead of time a lot of different scenarios. Are you going to read for someone who says, I feel like my father is dying? Is he going to survive? Are you gonna? Do you feel comfortable with that? Are you going to read for people who say, I'm going to court in a month and I need to know if I'm going to win or not? You have to decide that. Is that something ethically that you are willing to allow the tarot cards? Do you feel comfortable allowing the tarot cards in front of you to read that for you? Do you allow them to pick from your decks? You mean pick specific cards or pick from which deck? Because I'll tell you, I allow both. Usually I have 2 or 3 decks out when I'm doing a paid reading. And I'll say, you can pick from any of these decks. Usually I will tell you, I have probably 3 oracle decks that I use in professional readings. Maybe more than that. It depends on the month or what I've been using lately. I do not allow them to pick the oracle deck. I always mix tarot and oracle, but I do allow them to pick from, like, say, 2 or 3 different decks and say you can pick from any of these decks. And for me, when I shuffle the cards as I'm listening to what they're talking about, as I'm connecting, I'll shuffle the cards, and then I allow them to cut the decks. I don't allow them to shuffle my decks, but just because I read the cards does not mean I take responsibility for the choices you make. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. It is on you to change course or stay on the path you are currently on. Exactly, Pook. Exactly. Any questions so far? You want to encourage your clients to use their own inner guidance. So, what happens again, think of things ahead of time. What happens if you have someone coming back to you for a paid reading 4 times in a month with the same question? Have you ever had that happen? Most professional tarot readers have. I've had it happen where they come back and they're like, yeah, but I really need to know this question. Well, I've told you 3 times. This is the answer. If you don't want to hear the answer, I'm not going to keep charging you for the same question. If you don't believe the first answer that I give you, or the second answer, which may be slightly different cards, but we all know it's the same damn answer. I'm not going to keep charging you for the same question. Now there's something on your end that needs to be done. So either you can do that or you cannot. It's up to you whether you take that energy and change it, or you decide, you're able to live with that. And very often I hear Dr. Phil's voice in my head a lot with that kind of person, where I'm like, well, how's that been working for you? If somebody comes to you and says, I don't know whether to leave my boyfriend or not, I found out he was cheating on me, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I'll read that question the first time. But if you come to me again in a week and say, oh, my boyfriend's still cheating on me, should I leave now? Well, how's it worked for you? My answer then is that okay with you? Are you able to live with that and move on with your relationship? Yes, then okay, move on with your relationship and heal and do what you need to do to heal the relationship and keep moving on. Is that not okay with you and you're not able to move on from a relationship with it? Then what are you asking me for? The last time you came, you got 8 of Cups. That said, get the fuck out. I don't know what to tell you. It's going to say something else, but it's going to say the same thing. I'm one and done. If you have the same question, you can go to somebody else. Exactly. I give people homework when I read for them. So if they come back, it means they didn't do it. Oh, that's a good one, Emma. I like that. So your homework is blah, 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 blah. That's a good one. I like that. Let's talk about upselling. I hate this. How many times have you seen? I've seen it a lot. Someone saying, well, I did your tarot reading and you have an attachment. We have somebody locally that reads for people and then says, oh, you have a demon attached to you. Okay. And if you give me $50, I'll get rid of this attachment for you.
It's like those Indian people.
Yes. Oh, I hate that. Are you kidding me? You're actually going to tell people, or you're cursed. I can do a curse breaking spell for you for another $75. Are you kidding me? No, that's not ethically. That is not okay. If you feel like that's okay, you're wrong. I don't know what to tell you. That is not okay. I hate that. So do not upsell or fake products or services. I literally have had people before come to me and say, this reader said I have a demon, or he has a demon attached to him. Or I love this one. Somebody local is doing this apparently. I told someone they have a demon attached to them and they're going to die if they don't get rid of it. And didn't offer any suggestions on how to get rid of it. Just, I don't know. Sorry, you got a demon. Good luck to you. Bye-bye. Really? That is so fucking unethical. No problem, MA. I have the unfortunate problem that my tarot deck has a specific meaning for the 8 of Cups, so I have no idea about what it means, traditional or the card. Hold on. Wait, I have a deck in front of me because, of course, it's Tarot Tuesday. I have to have a deck in front of me. Let me find the 8 of Cups.
Isn't that the multiple option?
Well, no, that's 7. 7, 8. Oh, yeah, I'm not a big fan of this one either. Yeah, not a big fan of this one either. So usually the 8 of Cups, if you look, the Rider-Waite 8 of Cups has 8 cups lined up. They're all perfectly good cups, but they're not yours anymore. And usually you see the person walking away into the distance, choosing a different path. Keeps kicking me. I don't know, Court. What the hell? Hi, Pamela. Me too. Okay. So do not upsell, please. That's very, very, to me, very unethical. Don't tell your client what to do. Don't tell your querent what to do. You cannot say to your querent, hate when querents come and say, should I quit my job or should I stay? Well, we can ask tarot. I always say, I will ask, but tarot, to me, tarot doesn't like to answer that question because, again, tarot does not want to take away your free will. So tarot will say to you, you could quit, or I don't know, maybe it's a time of self-sacrifice and maybe you need to hang on for a while and stuff. There is a lot of times that tarot will give you an idea of the energy that's flowing right now, which way to go. But I always have a hard time when they're very specific. Should I do this? What path should I take? You have to really trust that your cards will give you a general idea of the energy that's flowing. But that does not mean you need to follow that. You should not be saying to your querent, yeah, you have to quit this job. Instead, what you should be saying is, yeah, the card that showed up was the Hanged Man, which means self-sacrifice. So to me, that says, maybe it's time to hang on to this job for a while longer. This is a point that you need to sometimes do what you have to do in order to get to where you want to be. That doesn't mean quit tomorrow. Okay? Might be my dumb phone because of Mercury. Yes, Mercury retrograde. Welcome to it yet again. Yeehaw. Right?
Have a great Mercury retrograde.
It just started. Give it time. It'll fuck things up, I swear. Know what your position is on things. Remember we said know ahead of time. What are you going to read for minors? If someone who's 16 comes in, are you going to read for them? Know ahead of time so that you know. If you're going to read for them, if it's okay with their parent, then have that answer ready.
Is there something in New York for that? Because I always see on the pages like 18 plus.
There is not. There is not. There is something about goods and services, so it's kind of a gray thing. They could always come back to you and say, well, technically I was a minor, so you couldn't take my money for that service.
Gotcha.
But there isn't something already set up that says you cannot. It just is kind of a gray thing. So just know that ahead of time. Know what your answer is going to be. I have read for young people, if I know that, like either if I know their parents or if I know their parents have been in before and they're okay with, the shop or they're okay with that kind of thing or whatever, that's different. But be very aware that you know ahead of time what that is. Again, reading for third parties, reading for their boyfriend, reading for their loved one. Know ahead of time if that's going to be okay with you. What topics you will and won't read on. If someone comes to you, a lot of people don't want to read on health questions. I'm not a fan of it, but I will try to give somebody a general idea. Like, I don't like if somebody says, I'm having a test tomorrow. What will the outcome be? I hate that. But I will try to give you an idea of the energy that's coming forward. But know ahead of time before you start start to read for people. Know what you do with client information. Do you write down notes when you are doing tarot readings? Do you write down notes? Or are you a person who doesn't do it in person, but so you email them? Do you keep copies of your readings? Know ahead of time. It's okay if you do, it's okay if you don't. If you do, where do you keep those copies? Do you put lock them up someplace so that people can't see them? Know ahead of time. Any questions about tarot ethics? I'm trying to remember if I forgot anything. I have 12 pages on tarot ethics for me. Confidentiality, non-judgmental, responsibility, healing, that's a little different. Payment, if you're going to take payments, do you accept payments even if your client is unsatisfied with the reading? It's up to you. I do, but ahead of time, you have to know that what you're going to say. If somebody comes and says, that was a horrible reading, it didn't mean anything to me, I usually give them their money back, depending on the person. If they came already a skeptic and they were like, I hate the people who come in. Have you ever had, I don't know how many people here have read for pay, but I hate the people who come in specifically to try to prove you wrong. I take their money all day long. And not because it's because I'm going to say to them, look, you're a skeptic, so sometimes I can only get, what you're going to give me. So the energy that I get from you is your energy going into these cards. So if that's what you're going to bring me, I might not get everything you want out of these. And then I tell them how I read, and if they still want to, then that's fine. May I ask your reading for minors policy? So for me, I don't read for minors unless their parents know ahead of time, and I know their parents know ahead of time. Up until the age of 16. For me, 16 is kind of the age of consent for a reading, because if you're 16, you can have a job and have your own money. So I know that they, are not using somebody else's money for that reading.
I had a job when I was 14.
Yeah, I know. I had a job at 15 too, but for me, that age is 16 for me, because I know that for me, that's where I feel comfortable. Unless their parents come in with them and they're okay with that. I feel folks should have a code of ethics even if they are beginners. Yes, and not charging for readings. How do others feel about that? Absolutely. I think definitely you should have a code of ethics anyways. And sometimes it's not as you're not going to have a code of ethics about what you charge for readings and that kind of stuff. But absolutely you should have a code of ethics even if you're a beginner, because part of that code of ethics should be representing your tarot qualifications honestly. Again, if you're coming in and saying, "Oh, I'm learning, so I'm going to take free readings," just so you know, I'm learning though. And usually if people are doing that, they want the feedback because they want to see how they're doing. So they're like, "Please give me any feedback because that helps me to know how am I doing? Am I doing good? Did that resonate with you?" But you should definitely have a code of ethics if you're reading for people, even if you're just reading for people at work, or you're, reading for family. You can kind of make it up as you go along if you're crazy enough to read for family.
So if you're a paid reader,
yes,
and you have in your ethics that you aren't going to read for the death answers and stuff like that, the health answers. So if you wanted to start reading for those, would you recommend not charging for those at first, or would you feel like if you're already an established reader, you would know?
Depends on the person. So his question was, if you're a paid reader and your previous code of ethics said, I do not read for medical questions, and you decide, all right, I'm going to try to start to read for medical questions, should you then do some readings that aren't for pay? Or do you feel like because you've been a professional reader for other things, you can jump right in and do the medical questions? And it depends on the person. Again, if it works for you, right? I know that's my answer for everything, but some people are going to be able to jump right in and be like, okay, I know I've had questions before where I'm like, okay, I know, I feel like I should be able to answer that. Even though I have a code of ethics that says I don't answer certain questions, there are certain people or certain situations that may arise that I feel like, all right, I might try to answer this question, or I might say, okay, I don't usually answer these questions, but I'm going to give you an idea of what comes up. I'll let you know what I think.
Have you ever worked at a psychic fair?
Yeah. It's not easy. I'm not crazy about doing psychic fairs because you're catching, for me, I'm catching the energy of everybody else, but as long as I can connect to people, I'm okay. I have kept it at 18 and above unless I'm doing a psychic fair and parents' consent. I have a couple decks I have with me at fairs for younger clients. Yeah, exactly. And same thing. I have some decks that I feel work for younger people, so that's okay. Specifically for younger people. I did a birthday party for a friend once who was doing like her, I think she was 13. Her daughter was turning 13, and I made sure that they all got like little permission slips from their parents just saying this is just for fun. We're not going to do any serious questions and stuff, but I was like, no, hell no, I'm not doing that without everybody saying it's okay. And then I have a panda deck for younger kids that I use a lot. How's it? I might just be the Panda Tarot. Can't remember. So, any other questions? Okay. Thank you guys for coming. Now, I'm going to set up next week's Tarot Tuesday. Next week's Tarot Tuesday is going to be all about connection. How do I connect to my querent? How do other people say they connect to their querents? What are some suggestions that everyone has for what you should do to connect to the person across the table from you or across the world if you're doing it online? What are some of the different techniques that people have talked about? This is how I connect to someone I'm reading for. And I will go into a lot more detail about how I connect and try to help you connect. Like I said, I've never been able to teach anyone so that they do it exactly like I do, but I'll talk a lot more about that anyways. And I'm willing to teach about it. I don't know. I'm a freak, I think. So, all right, guys, click the like button on the way out for me. I love you guys so much. Thank you for coming to another Tarot Tuesday. And we will see you again next Tuesday.